The fuck, man?
It's like we get ready to rob a bank.
You might have been lying. I think.
Gary behind, like Madman Gary is the best.
I apologize to anyone out there if I blew the intro before we went to, the showbiz.
Hey, what do you expect? It's very topical for tonight, right?
Right.
No business like show business.
That's
Welcome
right.
back, everybody, to another episode of Comics Della Morte, episode 100, Mary's Baby, with special guest Gary Hodges and me, Ronnie Gunter, Crimson Owl Comics, and my awesome, as always, co-host Alexander Frogbreaker Studios.
It's been
And
so
before
long, man. What's
we
going
get
on,
into
everybody?
the movie,
Our old buddy Frogbreaker.
it's been a while since you guys been around, so you two talk about what's going on with your guys' life.
Okay, you go ahead, Stu. Go for it.
All right, well,
Like Jason, what
y'all
you got
know me.
going on? Let the people know.
It's been a while. Fallbreaker Studios, you already know. I actually finally have news. I have news. October 14th and 15th, I will be a vendor at the Weird Fair in Auburn, Maine, at the Auburn Mall. I got I think you guys have seen my SpongeBob horror series that I started. It's not a story, it's just kind of like fan art. So I got that. I'm gonna screen share it real quick because it's pretty fun. And there's some other stuff too. There's actually comics. Ronnie, Gary, you purchased a copy of Antikythera, but because I am the way I am, it ended up getting a facelift, and so that should be getting to. I'll be sharing it soon, but I'll be getting yours to you very soon. So,
very
thank you for your patience. But
no problem.
I will. You'll see it, and I think it'll be worth the wait.
Okay.
So
while my computer
loads, Auburn Mall. Oh, there we go. It's up. So
I love that.
My SpongeBob that I did, which is there's kind of a story that goes with all these, but I really want to talk about what we're talking about tonight. So I'm just gonna share a few of the pictures. We got Sandy. Color of these does exist. I just got Squidward printed, and it's on wonderful paper, and the color looks really good. And I'll be putting that on my Instagram tonight. But Fallbreaker Studios there. We got Mr. Krabs doing his best, Patrick Bateman. We got Alien God Gary the Snail. And there's one more I gotta show y'all. It's Squidward with his inside squid making its way to the outside very juicily, because I'm kind of in a juicy horror art phase right now. So
it's great. It's really, really repugnant.
There we go. The mission accomplished. That's what I was shooting for.
It's good.
But
it's good. It's effective.
Always more info coming. Fallbreaker Studios. But I feel like we're finally we crested. We've been pushing the stone up for a really long time, and I really point now where we're going to start producing and have things available. So that's me. That's Fallbreaker Studios. The floor is yours, sir.
Oh well.
Did we lose Ronnie? Where's Ronnie?
Ronnie dropped out, but we can handle it till he pops.
We got it. All right.
So, people who follow my YouTube obviously already know that I've been taking a little bit of a hiatus in between the release of the latest D vs. M 1979. Still a few copies available, as well as a few copies of 1975 and 1997 on my Etsy shop. If you search Dinosaurs versus Marsbots on Etsy, you'll find my books. I wrapped this one up, got it out the door, and felt like, okay, now I'm going to chill a little bit while I'm cooking up the next D versus M. I actually intend.
That's well deserved.
I think yeah, you gotta balance with all
Absolutely.
things. The plan right now is to start writing the script. I've been working on, the ideas and the notes and everything for a long time, but I'm going to start actually writing the script for D versus M number 4 this Saturday. So I'm about to hop back into it. I will probably also be starting some YouTube updates once in a while here and there. I don't know if I'm going to do one Saturday. If not this weekend, next weekend. Just kind of letting people know what the plan is and where I'm at and when they can expect the next D versus M and all that kind of good stuff.
So things are happening, but we're not
happening. Exactly. There's always stuff happening behind the scenes. But now, and I think we've talked about this before. I am very protective of my creative process. There is a level I'm very open about sharing, but then there's a point where it's like, nope. So I don't stream while I'm drawing. And when I'm trying to really devise a story and get into that writer headspace, it just doesn't help me to be online all the time talking about it. So I just don't do it. I'm trying to make it all what it needs to be and know what's important and what's not. And that's a part that I know it just doesn't serve me. So, but now once the script gets going and I'm feeling pretty comfortable, all right, this is the direction and this is probably what's next. And this is what the next 18 months looks like. Then I'll be more present on YouTube. So
awesome. Well, it's good to see it. It's good to see you taking some time and but still gathering the spices.
Yeah,
you're still putting the recipe together. So
I am, and I'm very. I've been excited about all of them, but I'm very excited about this next one. This is one that, I came up with the ideas for all 6 years ago, and if you're deciding you're going to do it, there's some level of excitement for all of them. But this one in particular is one that I was always looking forward to getting to. So I'm excited that I'm finally oh boy, we're finally going to do this one, which is it's going to be cool. I think people are going to enjoy it. So,
yeah. Well, welcome back, Ronnie.
Thank you. I lost connection. Doesn't surprise me.
We took care. We kept the
we held the fort.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Jason, that SpongeBob definitely gave me some Uzumaki vibes.
Yeah, there's definitely some.
Yeah,
I think I'm settling into a style a little bit, but I do notice things that I've liked that pop up effortlessly now, just because it's what I look at the most, right? It's where my visual library is starting to come. It's starting to come through. So I'm putting the work in, guys. But
as your friend and co-host for many years, you have progressed so amazing, and I'm not just saying that.
Sir. I appreciate it.
When we first met in the Discord till now, your style has really shined and really honed its skills.
Both you guys, I've seen huge evolutions of both your works. So
yeah, awesome.
I think it's staying at the table. You know what I mean? If there's no big secret. It's just. You want to do it better if it's what you enjoy, so you stay at it. So
yeah, if you're working and you're sticking to it, there's no way you're not going to become better. More whatever you are.
Yep.
Yeah.
As time goes on.
Exactly.
Don't know what though, secretly. Hold on, Ronnie. Don't cut me off.
No,
you cut me off. No, I'm joking. No, I'm really looking forward. You mentioned script writing again. I'm really looking forward to just writing again. There's a few things that I'm with the Weird Fair coming up. There's a few physical products that I want to make the whole thing of, but I'm just ready to start that's what I really want to do.
I love it. Writing is always, I think, when I look at all the creative things I do, writing is for sure my favorite. But you know what's kind of cool about being a one-man show is just when I'm getting absolutely tired of doing whatever I'm doing, I get to now switch. So like I get tired of drawing, finish it, and it's like, great, now I can write. Oh boy, I can't wait to write. And then I'll write for maybe a couple months. And then I'll be like, oh, I can't write anymore. Great, I get to draw, you know, and like that keeps you enthused. It keeps your enthusiasm up.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, most definitely. And I told these guys before going live, sometime October, early November, the next chapter for A Vengeful Heart will be coming out. It's been going pretty well. It's not like a horror episode. It's more of a heartwarming with like the having people have a party, introduce some characters, but definitely the next one after this one coming up. Yeah, it's going to be really, really like action packed and graphic. So,
oh shit.
Excellent.
Which,
wait.
If I don't divide it, after this one, the next one should end the actual book.
Oh,
so then it could go into actual physical development.
Fantastic.
That's exciting.
Oh, that'll be cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were that close to the end. That's awesome.
Yes. Well, yeah, because after this one, it's going to try to jump forward to where like now the mother and the kid is in the mysterious place hidden in the mountains where humans and monsters live. And then it's going to jump forward to where he's an adult. And then you're going to have that big battle that's going to be coming up between the devil and everyone else. So yeah.
Awesome.
Exciting. Well, I can't wait, man. It's been good. Everything you've posted has been good. So I can't wait to see how it all plays out.
And as some people that you know who's been on the show, I show some of my work to them too, and especially the one with the bridge and the mountains in the back. Like one of them said, it was very multi-layered, and yeah, it took a while to do, especially the bridge that was like made of stone, but it was fun to work on.
Yep. Well, awesome. Well, shit, guys, y'all want to do it? Like what?
Let's do it. Let's get to it.
So Rosemary's Baby, I had I tried to find a way to not give too much away for anyone who's never seen this. So this is the best thing.
That's game over, man.
Right?
This is done. This is.
I think, if you haven't seen Rosemary's Baby and you care about spoilers, you should
just turn it off.
Get off the internet right now. You should go and if you like movies, like I'm not even horror movies.
No.
If you like cinema, you should go march your ass to wherever you need to go to watch this movie right now because it's embarrassing you haven't seen it. Okay, I'm just saying that right now.
I didn't see it till last year, so it's like I agree, but it was new to me too.
And it was a popular movie so much that they made a TV show into it.
But they made a bunch. They've been trying to do more. Nothing has lived up to the original.
Oh no,
they've tried to do a lot
of
things. But then after you finish watching it, then you can come find this in your history and then watch the same thing. That's
exactly. So yeah. The movie is about a young couple moves into an apartment only to be surrounded by peculiar neighbors and occurrences. When the wife becomes mysteriously pregnant, paranoia over the safety of her unborn child begins to control her life. So, yeah, I mean, that's a gist of it, but we're definitely going to go into more of that.
Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start.
Before we do that, I want to do something real quick because I found this to be extremely fascinating. All right, these are movie titles, y'all. Just so I'm not just speaking randomly. Bullet, George Romero's Night of the Living Dead. I don't like westerns, but Once Upon a Time in the West, phenomenal movie. 2001: A Space Odyssey, Planet of the Apes. All these movies came out in 1968. same as
Whoa.
Rosemary's Baby.
Oh, wow.
And Rosemary's
I did not
Baby
realize that.
has a place with all, like, that's all 1960s.
That's a heavy hitting year.
Oh, yeah.
That's not even, like, there were so many that I'm like, oh, well, I definitely know this movie, but, like, 2001 A Space
That's a
Odyssey.
strong year. Wow,
Yeah,
so many classics.
Yeah.
I was thinking about the fact that on another movie trivia thing, that Rosemary's Baby, I went and checked all the dates. I don't know if you can really point to it as the reason, but I'm sure it was a big factor. It seemed to kick off the, I'm going to say, like, legitimate, like the film occult horror genre. Like, it predates Wicker Man, it predates The Exorcist, it predates The Omen, like all those big ones you can think of. This was first, and now certainly, if you go to like Grindhouse and B movie, stuff, you can find all sorts of occult and Satan worshiping stuff.
Right.
But when it comes to big, legitimate quote unquote films, like that, I think this is the first, and it kind of, to me, it's like a Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon that legitimized the genre, where it's like, no, this can be an actual real movie, or like Silence of the Lambs with like a slasher horror kind of thing. Like, it's like, no, this can be an actual movie. And then after that, people are like, oh, okay, and they started making serious movies in that genre. I'm gonna bring up some
interesting facts, because parts of this movie that we're going to talk about actually made it in like the top 100 as the most 100 scariest scenes in a film, and we'll talk about that later.
Oh, I think I know what scene you're talking about.
But
so
the beginning of
the
I'm gonna play the song.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna play the song.
Are you gonna play the song? Okay. Here's where we find out if you get demonetized.
Beginning of the intro,
You have to get
you hear this. Like, it's very creepy, but it has that lullaby where the mother's trying to cradle her child. But I don't know, just not the singing, but the way the music plays, it's very like, not like scary, but like unsettling or haunting in a way, where if you try to hear that late at night while you're watching a movie like I did, it's like, wow, yeah, it's very crazy and paranoia out there.
No, it doesn't seem like music that would soothe the baby. But.
Right. But but the lullaby is so simple. And that's what I love about music and horror movies back then, that it wasn't like this big, like having to have like all these like different melodies into it. You just took a simple melody, just like with Jaws, and you just went with it, and it became iconic.
I think that's the theme of this whole movie, though, because a lot of the visually... Okay, so before I say that, the movie itself, you could put on the background with no dialogue, and it would hold your attention. Just
it's beautifully shot.
You can't look at each scene enough. Like, that's something that I noticed early on in the movie, and like the horror in this movie, like the visual horror, a lot of it is almost like a little bit ridiculous, but how you get there makes it stick. How you get there makes you say, this is unbelievable, but it's happening. You know what I mean? Like, and that's where you can play that line on The Thing, where you see something that you can't believe, but because this movie has taken you on the ride it's taking you on, it's very easy to like just make that jump into something unbelievable.
And like The Thing, it's playing it very straight, and it's very grounded. Yeah. And I saw that also in common.
Yeah, the characters too.
Yeah, they're all real people. Like, they feel like real human beings. They're not like weird, boogeymen. And it reminded me in that way of The Exorcist. And that was something I was talking about with Mary before we went on. I was comparing and contrasting The Exorcist, where if you haven't seen The Exorcist in a while, I would say the first 2/3 of that movie it's played so straight that, like, you know the girl's possessed, but they're playing it as if, like, she could have a brain tumor, she could be crazy,
right.
like she could, like, you don't know, and so it's like her mom not knowing what to do with her and taking her to doctors and getting tests done and like and crying about it, and it just getting like, and it's starting to get worse and worse and worse. It's this very real world kind of horror, very real world kind of terror, where it's just a thing that's sad and awful and spiraling out of control. And I see a lot. I feel like Rosemary's Baby has a very similar kind of structure, where I would say the majority of this movie, you could pull any of the supernatural stuff out of it and it still totally works. Like, it doesn't have any, it really is almost irrelevant. It's only late in it where you realize, like, oh, stuff is really, like, some of this is real. Like, some of this is really, you know, like, you could halfway through Rosemary's Baby say, like, maybe she's crazy. Or like, maybe she's just sad, you know, like maybe she's got a shitty husband and maybe she's just bummed out. Like, you don't know what's going on. She's lonely, you know, but then like eventually you're like, oh, wait. Oh,
well, can we actually talk about one character that it's like, it was weird because that character knew about a lot of stuff, because you have the girl, we don't know what if she has a job or anything, because she's at the house a lot. But her husband, you know, he's an aspiring actor. He's been in a couple commercials, like the Yamaha commercial, or was it that motorcycle?
He's a working actor.
Yeah,
he's
one character is what he is. One character.
He's a total ass.
Exactly.
Shit. But like, you know, he's carrying, and you know, I also, like you, Ronnie, I get the impression she's at home. You know, she doesn't have a job.
Well, they made a sequel to this. I don't remember the sequel much, but it definitely
Ronnie,
doesn't
this
look
is
like
the stuff we said we wasn't going to talk about.
We're not going to talk about it. It's like Jaws 2. Who cares? Whatever. Like,
if you guys remember,
Jaws the Revenge. Oh,
Jaws the Revenge.
Just give me the first one.
3D,
yeah,
right. But do you guys remember Hutch, the old man who was like their best friend?
Yes.
And remember in the movie, he actually informed them that the apartment that they moved in was part of has like history of witchcraft. So you had like this old like professor like guy who is like all into like, you know, knowledge and has a bunch of books on witchcraft and stuff like that. And it's like how you were saying some characters can be believable. That character kind of is, but kind of isn't, because it's like, how the hell did he know about this building and decide not to tell them before they even tried to look at it in the first place?
Right.
He was Dick Halloran. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was the guy that recognized The Shining.
He thought it'd be fine. Yeah. Like, and again,
I can help if it's bad. Don't worry.
And I can also see a real world, like, how putting yourself in, like, just suspension of disbelief here. If you're that character, let's say this was you. Let's say
to be honest, I do know a lot about mythology and supernatural.
Okay, so then
stuff,
let's let's say you know. Let's say you know a house has some weird story with it. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And this young couple moves into it. How much of a kind of an asshole do you have to be to, like, ding dong, by the way, you know, like, let me tell you about you. Like, it's kind of like
the old man. Yeah. Oh, the girl.
Yeah, you're just gonna freak them out. Like, it's like, I don't know. Like, I can buy that you wouldn't say anything. Well, you know, until like later, you might be like, well.
Yeah, because remember,
he's like, well, I do have this witchcraft book. You might be interested.
Yeah.
Like,
right. I'm just saying. You might want to read it. I don't know.
He gave her that book before. We'll go into more about that later.
Yeah.
But the fact is that apartments, like if you move into a house now, it's actually mandatory that you tell the couple that someone died in that house and supernatural things have happened. It's actually mandatory for people to know that. I think it is.
If there was like a violent crime, I think if someone just happened to die, I kind of I don't know. I'm curious. I kind of doubt it because I feel like, well, 75% of the houses you see would, like some grandma died in a back room or something.
But I think if it's like supernatural, it's like someone's claiming that it's haunted.
Yeah,
it's like
there's some kind of weird, bed bugs, murders, poltergeists. Like these are the things you gotta tell her.
He's like,
because
when they have Michael Myers. Never mind.
Yeah.
Here are your keys. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
I don't know why, Jason, when I saw you eating, I was just thinking of Ace Ventura, the second one. Stop eating my sesame cake. No. If you remember that scene.
I was thinking of the chalky chocolate pudding from Rosemary's Baby. I was thinking
yes. Yes. But yeah, well, so at one point, Rosemary goes to the basement. She meets this girl, and this girl has this necklace, very like weird looking in it, but she has like a magic, like she has like a herb in there. And the herb, from what her husband says and her said, everybody says that it smells really bad.
Yeah.
I can't remember the exact name of the herb.
I don't remember either.
Like
it's been a couple years since I've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Though one of my favorite movies of all time.
Tannis root.
100%.
That's what it is. It's a tannis root. Tannis root is often used to give power to a talisman that is given to the victim as a gift, but secretly used by the witch to control the unsuspected wearer.
Okay.
So that's interesting that tannis root in the movie, in real life, it has like actual like witchcraft vibe to it. And that's what I like more about this movie is that they're actually including stuff that has like real mythology and like real like stuff going on. And
they're trying to make it sort of legitimate feeling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And
that also goes back to just the way, like the cinematography and the direction. I mean, it feels very. You feel like everyone was taking it very seriously, as like a movie making enterprise. They were, again, like I just can't. I've said this already, but I can't emphasize enough. It's one of the most strikingly attractive movies.
Yeah.
And especially that era of New York and that kind of that unique sort of time and place.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think you're muted.
Yeah, you're muted.
You're muted, Stu.
It's the most magical time of New York. Like when
it's very romantic. It's that kind of Greenwich Village kind of art, like you feel like I want to live there. That looks like the cool time to have been in New York. Unlike maybe, fast forward 10 years and you're in Death Wish era, and it's like, no.
Right, exactly. This becomes a RoboCop.
Or like
Detroit, but it's like
Drugstore Cowboy.
1980.
Yeah, where it's like, no, Taxi Driver New York, boo. Rosemary's Baby New York, all right. Yeah.
That wouldn't happen. Like devil worshippers.
Like
it's the tail end of the like Rear Window New York. It's like that kind of where it looks very, for lack of a better term, romantic, not in a coupley way, but I mean, it's this kind of this idea of this very communal place where there's all these interesting people and different fields and creatives and everything. Like it's this inviting kind of urban landscape.
Yeah.
That's not particularly, I think that's also part of what makes it work is it's not like this movie is Mia Farrow and John Cassavetes go to move to some creepy little village in rural England.
Yeah.
And where there's like that's not like it where you from the word go, you're like, ugh. This is actually everything about it looks nice. The only thing that's tough about it is her utter isolation.
Yeah.
Like she had no friends. Like she's completely dependent on her dipshit husband. And then these kind of weirdo neighbors.
Well, she did have that
really
friend who was like living with the neighbors. Because remember,
What's
the
it?
girl died.
I'm missing.
Sorry.
I got
be quiet. Hang on.
No, but remember, before she met the old couple, she met the girl that was living with them, that
Right.
was like treated like a daughter, and they were like
Right.
chit chatting. She's like, "Oh, I have a brother, and the what was it, the Navy? You know, I live with these people because I have nowhere to go. I was homeless." And then 1 second later, or the next night, she jumps out of a building and they show her head like paved on the side of the street.
Right. Yeah.
And
so like, then she's alone. You know,
yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah. And I think that, to me, one of the reasons this movie struck me when I first saw it and stuck with me, all the movies I've loved most in my life, and the ones that I keep going back to, like always, like that just don't let go of me, are ones that helped me get something I think I never would have gotten otherwise, or help me understand something, or help me feel something, help me think about something I was never going to really be able to think about in the right way. Yeah. And this movie did that, in that it made me think about what it would be like to be a young woman in a strange city, pregnant, completely dependent on people that you don't have all the confidence in the world in, you know, like,
you
and
don't
how
really have time to know them, let alone
trust them, and you have no options. Right. Like, what is she gonna do? And like that, yeah. I was watching and I was like, he's setting aside all the supernatural stuff in this movie. That is the scariest thing to me about this movie. It's like, she's screwed. She's like a prisoner, you know? And like, that's, exactly. I think to me, like, I'm sorry if I'm encroaching in something that someone else wanted to bring up, but to me, like, the definitive scene for that is when she goes to bed one night, she gets drowsy, maybe poisoned, you know, like probably poisoned. She goes to bed. She gets up the next morning. She's covered in scratches. And she has weird dreams. I won't spoil the dreams, but she has weird dreams. And the next morning she wakes up naked and covered in scratches. And her husband says, yeah, I was really drunk last night and I had sex with you while you were asleep. And you see this look on her face. I feel like, and Mia Farrow is spectacular in this, but I feel like you can see her gears turning and realizing, like, that's appalling.
I'm not safe with anybody.
I'm not safe, but what the hell am I going to do?
Right.
Like, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to pack my stuff and leave? I have nowhere to go. Yeah. I have you know, like, and like that scene, that was to me the most chilling scene in the movie.
And then he says, hey, well, I kind of liked it in a necrophiliac sort of way.
Like, yeah, he's totally, like, and you already know he's kind of a douchebag, but like, when he says that,
he cares about
and also he says something like, oh, you know, like, because they're trying to get pregnant. He's like, that was, like, this is the ovulation window. Like that, like, I didn't want to miss a chance.
It's so like, grimy.
And like, she's sitting there and you can tell she's just kind of reeling, like, I don't even know what to, like, but she can't, she could, but she doesn't pick the fight. Like, because I think she appreciates in a really sad way how she has no good options. Like, what is, she can't burn this thing down. She can't go after him the way he should be.
Yeah, because I think, if I remember, one of her siblings has 4 and the other one has 2. So she's so desperate to have children that she doesn't care about that my husband slept with me. Yeah, raped her while she was asleep. But we'll go more into that because of what really happened to her. Because the fact is that I got to talk about that at one point, but I'm gonna let Jason talk about what he wants to talk about.
You damn right. It's so let me tell you this real quick. Here's what's wild about Mia Farrow's character in this movie. Is I've always said, if I can relate or if I can create a common thread, I'm there.
Yeah.
This movie Mia Farrow has ended up in New York City because, as they believe, this is the spot. Like, this is the opportunity spot. Like, this is where you charge your battery. And
for him, that's the other thing. For him,
exactly.
She's like hitching his wagon. Like, this is a quote that came up.
We'll make it.
This is a quote that came up recently. I don't know if you guys have seen Boiler Room, which is a great little movie. But it came up recently where there's a scene where these guys get into it, and one guy says, "You're on my team. I'm not on yours."
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, exactly. And like I feel like in this movie, she's on his team, the husband's team. He's not on hers.
Oh,
like no, you know, and that's also this layer of
role is to support him. That's all she can do. The more she supports him, the better it is for them.
Yeah.
But if she wants, there's no success for her without him. And
right.
See, my life has been great.
You broke up a little bit. You broke up a little bit. Hold on. You're kind of doing robo voice.
Okay.
Yeah, he's broken up.
Are you still there?
Maybe
I would try logging off and in real quick.
Yeah.
We'll wait for you.
Like it happened with me. We'll wait.
Yeah. And then when he gets back, when Fogbreaker Stu gets back, he will continue his thoughts about the dynamic between Mia Farrow and John Cassavetes. John Cassavetes in this movie.
Can I just say the casting was really good, by the way.
Really good. And by the way, since you've seen it most recently, Ron, do you remember the characters' names? Because it's been too long for me. I don't remember.
The actor, his Stu, he had like the most typical like guy's name there. Guy.
Yeah.
Guy. That's his first name.
Oh, it's Guy. That's right. Yes. Boy, that was a typical guy name. Okay. Guy. And then she obviously was Rosemary. Duh.
Yeah.
I don't know why I had to search for that. All right. Okay. Yeah. And it's funny. I'm sure this wasn't her first movie.
But then you had the neighbors, Roman and Minnie Cassavant.
I think I recognized the older woman from other things. I don't know if are you back, Fogbreaker?
I might be. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You're still, your video is choppy on my side. Ronnie, is it choppy for you?
The video's choppy. You probably need to just sign out of the video and do audio like I did.
I won't.
Sorry. Yeah, I feel like at the time maybe they're character actors. Like I recognized the neighbors, but I didn't know who they were actor wise. Like I couldn't name them.
But I mean, I never read the book, but I wonder how
Neither did I.
the book is to the movie. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I've always heard it's one of those rare exceptions where the movie is superior to the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I've never read it, and I don't know if it's mostly the same or if they make a lot of changes or what. I don't know. It's kind of like The Shining, where it's pretty much everybody likes the movie better. I've heard it's like that.
Okay, I gotcha.
Oh, okay. He's gonna come back, and I'm sure it'll be better. Because it has to be.
But yeah, what you were saying with these characters, it's like you and your girlfriend and Jason Haswell too. It's like in life when you're a young couple, you always, let me add.
Oh,
There you go.
Disqualify me. Is that better?
Right.
look at that. That's way better.
See?
Way better.
But-
Part 2.
Excellent.
But we all been in, we're all, we all have a relationship, married, except for Gary, you're with your girlfriend and everything. But all of us could say that we have met a old couple who wants to try to embed themselves onto us. It's like, oh, you're such a young couple. When are you going to have kids? What do you do for a living? Oh, do you want to come over and have tea? I'll cook for you and everything. Like you have nice, or like not nice, but like, I wouldn't say annoying, but you have those older couples that
Yeah,
just
they
want
kind of
to
want to try and
push themselves onto you.
yeah.
Like not even like the cultist part, but like the simple fact is that the old lady brought one of her friends into the girl's apartment, and then they started just sitting down crocheting together on the couch. I'm like,
I know.
I'm like,
Yeah.
this woman is all by herself. You could tell that she's listening to music on her record player, and then you just come in and start crocheting and chit chatting about a bunch of stuff. Like, what the hell do you want? Get the hell out of my house,
Right.
But she's such a quiet person that she allows this stuff to happen.
She allows it, and her husband, anytime there's even an inkling of her being like, he's always like, they're just being nice, and like, like shuts that down. And
but it goes back to her being lonely too in the beginning, and just want to find someone to like.
Well, and him being the only real person in her life, and like she has to at least maintain that relationship, however gross it is, so it's like he can kind of, if he's like, this is how it's going to be, she's kind of like, oh, okay, like she's kind of stuck. But Jason, continue. You were gonna talk about things when your video broke.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So the things that I love the most, I think that's an obvious thing for everybody. You connect with things that you enjoy the most.
Yeah.
Rosemary's Baby being in the heart of New York City at the same time that my cult was growing in Brooklyn.
Oh, wow.
At the same time. And as a young kid, when I was a witness, I just assumed that every Jehovah's Witness in New York was a Bethelite, because Brooklyn Bethel was like the pinnacle of that was world headquarters. That's where everything is produced and published. They've moved upstate since then. They sold all their property in New York City for millions and millions. I'm sure it went.
I had no idea. Is that when? Yeah. When did it start? When was it founded?
It was founded in like 1879, I believe. So maybe even further back than that. But once they set up shop, they went from Pennsylvania to New York City, and they bought up a lot of land in New York City. But the goal is for young kids to get to Bethel. And I saw a lot of that story in Mia Farrow's character, because she was there. She has no power, because as a woman in the organization, you don't have power. And I was talking about this on my TikTok. If a witness woman is in a room with a 6-year-old boy, if she has to say a prayer, she has to put a head covering on, because she has to show spiritual subjection to the male in the room. So you have no outs, because to stand up for yourself is to stand up against God, which is really just this guy. Literally in Rosemary's Baby, God is Guy. Like, he's the final word, even though he's answering to these weirdo neighbors. Well, there's a lot of older. The organization loves to tie young people to old people who have been doing it for forever because it invests you into it. And so there was so much of this story. I believe that my creative life has been breadcrumbs. You know, I remember seeing Sinead O'Connor on SNL when I was 9 years old when she ripped a picture of the Pope up, and not knowing where to put it, but also knowing that that was going to be in my brain for forever.
That it was important. What I'm seeing is important, but I don't know.
I have nowhere to put this, you know. And now years later, like I'm fighting the same fight that she was, you know, in this regard. This movie, even though it's a work of fiction, describes beautifully. You remember Superman 2, like when the prisoners were floating in the Phantom Zone, and it was like this thing, and it would just show different facets as it tumbled. I really feel like that's how I see things when I'm creating, or that's how I see things when I'm trying to look for an answer, so to speak, in other created works, because that's, I don't know, like that's it's just kind of been my thing. And so whether it be music or whether it be movies, there are movies that connect with me specifically for reasons A, B, and C that have nothing to do with the movie. You know, like they didn't, you know, I mean, Roman Polanski is like right there in the world that my creepos operate in. But just like 2001, you know, Rosemary's Baby is this monolith that just shows up and it changes everything after it. All the way to me creating comics on an iPad, trying to explain how I was trapped in a cult that I didn't even know I was in for my whole life. So this was a much more congruent thought before The Matrix took me out, which, I mean, say what you want to about that. But gosh, like this is just it's a very important movie to me. And it's like, it's not there's important movies to me that are like nothing movies, but this is a movie that everybody can watch and everybody will connect with because it is so good. And if you can understand that, then you can understand a little bit of my story, or maybe your story, or maybe Ronnie's story. I believe, like, even in your, like, Gary, your work, this show, obviously in Ronnie's, like, Ronnie's got the devil's baby in his book, you know, but like your attention to detail is like the same thing that's pleasing about your work is what's pleasing about this movie. The connection to me is what connects me to it.
I do, when I compare and contrast my work with something like Rosemary's Baby, I think if there's a commonality, it's this insistence on treating the human characters sensitively and thoughtfully and real world, like really getting into what are their motives, what are their fears, what are they after, what are like, and developing some sympathy or empathy with the characters before following them into whatever sort of craziness is going to happen.
Right.
And I think that's something probably also why I really love this movie, like, because it's doing what I think is, you know, completely subjectively the best way to do this, which is, you know, like, let's play it straight and let's tell a real human story that happens to be a story about like devil worshippers and the Antichrist, or happens to be about an alien from somewhere that can mimic any other creature it comes in contact with, or happens to be, you know, like, but like otherwise make it all real. Like, well, let's have one. I remember it doesn't quite work, but it stuck with me. There was I think in some mythology class, I heard there are only two stories. There's a story of a normal frog in a magic garden and a magic frog in a normal garden. And like, those are the only two stories. I feel like my stories are magic frogs in normal gardens, where it's like everything is real. Everything is like, all the people are recognizable. The places are recognizable. It's all normal, except for this one weird magical element. you know, and like there's one thing, there's aliens, or there's whatever. And I think Rosemary's Baby has that same kind of approach. I think The Thing has that same kind of approach where it's all normal except for this one thing we're gonna put in. Everyone else seems like
nobody's in Antarctica, so it doesn't matter that nobody's there. Whatever's happening there will never happen here.
But all those guys seem like guys that you've known or could picture, and there are bases there. Well, and this is probably how it would play out. You know, like it all is very real. There's only or Predator. Predator is a great magic frog in a normal garden story where it's like it's all just soldiers in the jungle, except insert here. And
with The Thing, what's fascinating because take the alien out in Antarctica, America and different countries are doing research in that area, and they can't cross to the other people's area. And then there's an area where no one's allowed to go into. So I just had to throw that out there. I found that fascinating.
So Rosemary's Baby by any other name could be, well, Rosemary, don't you want this baby? Like, exactly. Don't you want this baby? Like, yeah, there's all this other stuff. As a Jehovah's Witnesses, don't you want to live forever?
Right.
Like, hey, you just, you slaughtered literally everybody else on the planet, and there's only 1 million witnesses. So there's 1 million witnesses in the States, and this is the biggest country that the witnesses are in, and they claim 8 million witnesses. So I will let y'all do the math on that, but I'll just stick to the States. So 1 million Jehovah's Witnesses are the only people who will make it to the new system. Yeah. What happens to everybody else?
I have some fascinating stuff to talk about, but we'll get into that.
So with Rosemary's Baby, it's like, yes, I know if you drink this every day and you go see my doctor and you keep having these weird dreams, you will get pregnant. Right. It's like, but I don't want to be a part of a ritual. Right. I don't want my husband to take advantage of me while I'm sleeping. Well, don't you want the baby? Like, isn't having this baby worth everything?
And bigger than that, don't you want to be a good wife? Don't you want to be a mother? Don't you want to? Like, it's all, and
your husband's so close to success. Your husband's so close to making it.
Yeah. Don't you want to be a part of the team? Yeah. Like, don't you want to help?
Baby, yeah.
And it's. I think in that way, while the movie to me, it feels fresh. It does not feel dated. It doesn't feel like weird or like, some movies you go far enough back, the late 60s, you don't have to worry about this. But if you go to movies, like especially from the 50s back, the acting is weird. It's like, it's also alien and strange. Like, it's kind of hard to relate to it as like, this is, the real world. Even though Rosemary's Baby doesn't have that problem. Rosemary's Baby feels contemporary, and yet I don't know if the movie would play the same if it came out today, because I don't think women feel as burdened by this. Okay, you hit a certain age, you marry a guy, you start having some kids, you cook for him so he has food waiting every day you get home. Like, this idea of like, this is what women do. Like, it's like, and at that period, like that is, I think, a thing that if there's any required reading before watching Rosemary's Baby, it's like, think about what a woman's life was like in the mid or late 60s. A young married woman. It's like, it's not like she can. I think maybe some modern people might look at it. It's like, why isn't this bitch just like on a bus? Mm-hmm. Like, why doesn't she just take off? And it's like, well, easy to say now in 2023.
But it's like a different movie. We know, depending on who you are, it's like you name your kid Damien. It's like, oh, you can't name your son Damien. That's the name of the Antichrist. Right. Back in the 80s or older, we know that where that name came from. But today's generation, they're like, oh, it's just a name.
Another name that doesn't work anymore. Adolf. You can't do it. You can't. They burned that name to the ground.
It's a time gone by.
But
you're not seeing that anymore.
Is the most graphic stuff, but it's interesting because there's so much stuff that I'm reading here on Wikipedia that I want to bring into
Okay.
effect. Like, we all know that when she was drugged by the old woman,
Yes.
which we find out is part of a cult, she gets dragged to a room where you see all these old naked people like singing and chanting while she's laying naked on the bed. And then
Yes.
one moment you see her husband over her. And then the husband all of a sudden started growing nails. Then his skin turned almost like rocky. It looked kind of like rocks, like rocky or like scales in a way. And you find out that it was really Satan who took on her husband's form, but then was slowly changing into the devil. And at one point, she was realizing that was real, that you had all these old people chanting around her while this demon, Satan, was raping her. And
Right.
that scene alone was number 23 on Bravo's 100 scariest movie moments. And in 2010, The Guardian ranked the film as the second greatest horror film of all time.
I'm totally fine with that ranking. I'm curious, what was the first?
I'm not sure, but what's interesting too is that how we were saying that this film was very significant.
Mm-hmm.
The actual author of the novel before the movie came out was basically was talking about in 2023 how his idea for Rosemary's Baby actually led to an increase of religious fundamentalism.
Yeah, I remember he was worried about that. He felt like there was that people in a way reacted to it the wrong way. It was kind of like, people not wanting to swim because of dogs.
And what if it just struck a nerve?
Yeah. And like we agreed, and like we talked about too, it actually says that this film basically this film kind of started the whole growing fascination with demons and related films in the upcoming decades. So this is like what, pre-Exorcist, or is this before? Yeah.
No, it's well before, because I think Exorcist, you can check I thought Exorcist was like 75 or something.
Yeah, I think
this was 68, so it's significantly before. I think.
Yeah, so this
Wicker Man is like mid-70s. The Omen is mid-70s.
So this movie definitely started the whole like cultist demon vibes, like we were talking about,
or at least again it mainstreamed it.
Yeah,
because I bet you could find like some B movie Satan panic, like trash in like 65 or 64. Like I'm sure that's out there. But like this was, this is like a huge director with like a major cast, a serious cast, like doing a serious movie that has just so happens to be about.
Well, even me as a guy rewatching the movie and rewatching that scene, it was very, very unsettling.
It's
because
creepy.
Not like the whole like you're seeing a demon rape this woman, but like you had a bunch of these old people chanting above this woman while she was drugged, and then they were painting all over her body with red paint as like a doorway for the devil to enter. And this movie made such a big impact in the world that the English band Deep Purple actually made a song called Why Didn't Rosemary? And basically one of the lyrics is like, why didn't Rosemary ever take the pill? So it just shows you that this movie made a big impact on people's lives, that they even made a song based off of the movie because how big it was.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say what I think is so gnarly about, because again, you watch the movie and you say, yeah, good movie. Mm-hmm. Then the discussion starts of what we are really seeing here. Like, what is Rosemary really going through? Like, what does this really represent? And I was listening to an interview because after I watched it the first time, I immediately find every available analysis, and I dive pretty deep. And Roman Polanski was saying how important it was for Mia Farrow, or for Mia Farrow's character to be a unreliable narrator in the movie. And I felt like that was interesting for the movie, and it had a kind of a greater, that interpreted greater, because it continued to like push that message of minimizing things that people go through and minimizing people's experiences. And it's almost, these minds, man, like some of these people's minds, I believe you can create if you've seen the devil, or if you felt the devil, or if you looked in the mirror and saw the devil. And Roman Polanski definitely like looked in the mirror and saw the devil, but
a few ways in his life. But
in a few ways, exactly. And I think that the fascinating thing is, it's like these dark experiments that you never hear about, or how like in another fiction like Andor, where it's like this whole secret thing of, we can't allow you to start the slippery slope of genetic alteration, because where do we stop from here? Roman Polanski was able to capture, like, to understand how people's brains worked, and what he needed to get out of a scene. And even Mia Farrow was saying like how good of an actor he was, because he could go through an entire scene by himself, so much so that the actors would know exactly what he was looking for,
what he wanted when they did. Well, and I'm going to be thinking about that, and I do intend to rewatch it again soon. That's going to help me. His point that her character doesn't work unless she's a little bit of an unreliable narrator. It makes me think about, does this movie work? Like, if you make her a stronger woman, if you make her assertive and confident and independent, does this movie work? It completely falls apart. None of it makes any sense, and it becomes irritating and stupid. Like, you need her to be a little bit like a person who kind of wilts, with a little bit of pushback. You need her to be a little insecure. You need her to be a little unhappy. You need her, like, that's the only way any of this.
Well, remember, she grew up in a Catholic background. So in that type of thing, in that type of culture, you're supposed to be submissive to your husband. Right. You're supposed to act this way. And I'm not going to go into detail, but I have friends who are like roughly around my age or so, where like, if you're in a religious family and you're a woman past her like early 20s and you're in your 30s, you're considered basically an old lady, old crone, and people really wonder, your own family is like, okay, you haven't found someone.
Like, what are you doing? Right.
What are you doing?
You must culture. As soon as girls turn 18, their dads are throwing them in front of every guest speaker at every Kingdom Hall, trying to get them married off.
If you're a woman in her 30s and you don't have children yet and not married, then there must be something wrong with you.
Oh, I remember, like, I was raised Catholic. I went to Catholic schools most of my life, and I remember my mom joking, who she was Catholic, but she came to it later in life. She wasn't born and raised in it. So she was a little more like, I felt like she had some perspective, like some distance on it. Yeah. But I remember, I don't even remember how it came up, but it was getting late in high school. And there was a lot of conversation about, going to college and which colleges everyone's going to go to and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And she kind of said with a sniff, like, oh, the Catholic girls, they're just going to college to get their MRS. Like, not to get like a bachelor, like a bachelor
MRS.
MRS, like to find a nice Catholic boy to marry. Like, that's why they're going, you know. And she was very like kind of dismissive of it. But like, yeah, I mean, this isn't the 50s. This was the 90s.
Yeah.
And you have people saying stuff like that. And you know what? I saw some of them go off to college, and she wasn't wrong.
Yeah, because like you were saying, like if you had more of like a independent woman where she's working while her husband's struggling to pretty much like make it as an actor, it would definitely not work, because
it wouldn't work.
She would definitely not have to rely on an old couple to make her happy. She would be more focused on her career and everything like that.
And she would be not interested in kowtowing to whatever the husband's weird like thing to make his acting break. You know, like that wouldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, if we moved to New York and I left for work and this old woman was knocking on my apartment door, my wife was inside, she just never would open the door, and then there would be there just would have been no movie. You know what I mean? Like,
right, exactly.
That would have been the end of it. No.
Or like a lot of people, they don't. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm really busy. Slam. You know, like, and that's like now the movie doesn't happen. Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses call it waiting for they call it waiting on someone's heart condition to change. So it's like somebody can be staunch, but you have this tract about people being resurrected, and guess whose parent just died? Like, you got in the end now, like, you know,
now
and that's it. And I feel like that's exactly these people saying, okay, we just drove the first girl mad, but she was of no use to us. This lady's sad, so we can get in.
Or the first girl is going to be an obstacle to connecting with Rosemary.
Exactly.
You know, like, so she's got to go. Like, we need Rosemary needy.
She's
she's not even needy if she has friends.
Her attention.
Like, so, yeah.
Yep.
Well, also too, it's like after she got raped and she ended up pregnant, then she was told not to see her old doctor. She has to see this doctor that the old couple knew. And then their friend Hutch, who was trying to warn her about, you know, stuff that was going on that he read about a cultist. And all of a sudden, the old man that was in the beginning, that was like their friend for like, I guess, a couple of years, all of a sudden went to a strange coma. And not just that, but the husband, he was trying out for a role and he didn't get the part. And somehow the actor who got the part before him became blind.
Yeah.
So literally, if you want to call it supernatural or not, at times there are people in this world who are willing to go above their way to hurt other people so they can get any kind of gain in life.
Sure.
You know?
Or just because they want to. You know what I mean? Like,
perfect example.
Somebody
perfect
at the top
example.
knows it's BS.
Look at the whole ice skating thing. Literally, the girl broke the other girl's legs just so she could fucking win.
Tanya Harding. And I can't even remember the girl who got hit.
Nancy
even
Kerrigan, that's right.
Even if you want to like believe, if you want to believe or not believe in the whole Illuminati, like there are at times, like even with the government, where you recently found out, like, and I sent you guys post this, how like the St. Louis County, the St. Louis city government for years was putting like nuclear waste in the water.
Oh yeah.
And like governments do this stuff. Governments will literally like do stuff that's harmful to people's bodies and their symptoms. Like even the people who were getting shots and they didn't even know what they were taking before they went to Vietnam, and now they're sick because of this stuff. Like it's not uncommon. Like governments and people will test on people just to get what they want. So it definitely has real elements to it.
Let's share Jim Luhan's comment.
You want to click on that, Jason? Yeah.
I love it. You gotta have Maury. You gotta have a Maury character there somewhere.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Look at his
Jim
horns. Look at his
Luhan,
horns.
I'm going to give him a quick shout out. He's working on his next movie, which I think is still a little ways off because it's going to be like feature length.
Oh, wow.
But it's The Full Fungus, and I recorded a little bit of voice work for the movie. So
Nice.
Yeah.
A few different characters, in fact. So
Jim is another guy who's always on point. Like,
yes,
there's a line between all genres that is just like good. If it's on the good line, like you can enjoy any of it. It's like going to a live sporting event. People
should check out his YouTube. All his work is on there for free.
Oh,
for free. He's a lunatic. He's a crazy person. So you can see hours of hilarious animated content.
Oh yeah, and we've had him on the show. Really great stuff.
Think every once in a while too. It's good stuff.
Oh yeah. Jim's like cultist thing with the lizard people. That's
right. Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, very great stuff. I can't remember what episode it was, but yeah, go back in the.
I think it was. I always question the name. It's like Mirapool, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Was the one with the lizard? So. I'm going to check right now.
Yeah, but yeah, he was a while back on the show. Really awesome animator.
Yeah,
really great guy overall.
I always want to say Mirapool for some reason. It's Infinity Pool.
Yeah,
I don't know why I do that. I apologize, Jim. It's one of my favorites, and it's probably a tumor, probably something. I don't know why I can't remember.
It could be a demon. You could just be.
Could be a demon. I don't know.
Yeah. So.
Too many shotgun. Too many beers in college, maybe.
Right.
I don't know.
Hey, it happens to the best of us, man.
Or too many chocolate puddings.
Too many, chalky chocolate puddings, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, because
Ronnie keeps sending them over. I don't know. It's like,
right?
Just eat them. And then I have a weird dream about this red-haired guy on top of me every night. I don't know what it is.
No, but
wow.
How scary would it be if you are saying, "Hey, look, doctor, this stuff is making me sick, and I just want my baby to be okay." And he says, "Just keep taking the stuff your neighbor's giving you." And you're like,
"Yeah," because remember, it's the doctor. It's the doctor who knows the old couple
that set them up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Because she was told, "Oh, don't go to your old one. Go to this one.
No,
he's a lot better."
Yeah. But it's a classic.
Yeah.
It's a classic.
But at this point,
I can't recommend watching it. Everybody watching it. I feel like this movie is as valid for us to talk about as The Thing is.
Oh yeah.
And if I guess it's worth throwing out there, if you're of the opinion that no, I don't know, I'm conflicted supporting Polanski, like blah blah blah, borrow it from somebody, stream, like I would do whatever. Like you don't have to go check it out of the library. You don't have to if you're worried about buying it, because like whatever, that's your call. But find a way to watch it.
Do we want to talk about the ending?
We should, I think.
Yeah. So pretty much at this point, after she gave birth to the baby, everybody was trying to convince her that the baby was stillborn until she was able to find out that there was a secret doorway hidden inside her closet. Yes. And then she was able to break in there and she found all these old people and her husband there, like in this like almost like cultist room, all having a drink.
And she's like, I thought you were at work.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden,
shouldn't you be out there hustling?
Yeah. And then all of a sudden you have this crib, this black crib with the upside down cross. And then they admit that's her baby. And then she goes over there and she freaks out because her baby has yellow eyes. Yeah. And he's like, my husband doesn't have yellow eyes. He has normal eyes. And that's when they were like, all the old people started going crazy, like, hail Satan, like seeing an old lady do that.
No, they all say like, no, and he has
and then you had
his father's eyes.
And then out of all this, you had like one,
right.
Like I had to throw out there, like you had all these like different like old Caucasian people, and then you had one Asian guy in the room who was saying,
was there an Asian guy? I didn't remember that. So
like, I thought that was weird. I'm like, why is
representation's important?
Yeah, but at the one point, while the
Wrong
baby's
one.
crying,
No one's fighting to be represented in that
Right?
group. Can you imagine? It's like, why isn't there a black dude in there?
Right.
No, it's you don't want to be. No.
Yeah.
No.
We were invited, but no.
Yeah, we.
But at one point, you know, after she's like she spits in her husband's face because he's like, you know, they told me that they weren't going to harm you, and if we did what they did, then we would have a better life. So he basically let his wife get raped by the devil just so he could have a great acting career.
Right, so he could get some lucky breaks.
Yeah, but he had to throw in there that
him drinking the Kool-Aid.
But it's like, oh, we'll be able to have our own kids as well, just not this one. And then she spits and slaps him. But at one point, the baby's crying. One of the older ladies who's trying to shake the baby really fast, she's like, you're not doing it. You have to do it gently. And then the old cultist man, the leader of the group, he's like, you know, let her do it. No, she had a knife. She was willing to kill the baby. It's like, no, let her do it. And then all of a sudden, the old lady stuck out her tongue at the girl. And I'm like, okay, they had elements in here where I thought that was a little bit too cheesy. But at the end, even though she knew that it's the Antichrist, her mother instincts took over and started taking care of the child, because in the end, even though it's part the devil,
it's her baby.
It's her baby, you know, and she doesn't care.
And to me, it's perfect. It just is in keeping with the whole thing where it's being trapped. She's trapped. Like, she can't. And the metaphor of it, you can easily, let's say she had just had a totally normal baby. She's just as trapped with this dipshit husband and his stupid dipshit life and friends. Like, that's all it's. I feel like the whole movie is just kind of illustrating this prison this woman lives in, you know, where she's not going anywhere. And she can either make friends with the jailer or, you know, have a miserable go of it. And she's constantly choosing, like, I guess I'll make the best of it. You know, it's really, it's a dark, cynical, sad movie. You know, when you look at it like that, where it's like she just kind of is waving a white flag almost throughout. Every once in a while, there's a little bit of limp pushback where it's like, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that. And it's like,
because it has elements
too. When she got with her friends that one time and she was like, I can take care of my baby. I can look at it.
I could do it. Yeah.
Well, it's not just that, but it has elements that are like very real in the world. It's like, at this point, like, take away the whole thing that it's Satan. Like, there are women in this world. It's like, I just got raped.
Yeah.
By a stranger.
By their husband.
Yeah, or by their husband.
By their husband.
They wanted, maybe if things had gone a little differently, they would have left. But now they feel stuck.
But not even that. But like, say you got raped by a stranger. Are you going to, you know, get an abortion, give this baby away? Or are you going to raise it as your own child, even though it's going to remind you that you were raped by a complete stranger all the time? So it definitely has elements that a lot of people a lot of women could relate to.
Well, and that goes back to where I was saying one of the things that made this movie one of my favorites is it just made me think about aspects of the female experience that I think were very, you know, too abstract for me or too removed, where like this kind of in a very symbolic way, I think illustrates lots of it. It illustrates a very common female experience.
Yeah.
Sure. That also, you know, it makes you think about how you feel about that. You know, how does this make you? How do you react to?
Yeah, where's your line? Where's your line? Like, what's your price? Like, okay, you meet old people. They're probably not really summoning Satan. So is it really bad if you just play along with their games if they can get you further ahead? Because it's still
if you give up your own home to like let these people kind of encroach, like where are you? Or like where's the point where like in couples, not everyone can be perfect for the other person all the time. But where's the line? Like at what point was this husband leavable? And it makes you just think about that stuff where it was like, even though you don't want to say like what should she have done, because that's not the point of this exercise, but it makes you think about it in other scenarios in real life.
Yes, what would you do? Like put yourself in that position. Like I lived very close to that. Like I'm not a woman, but I lived very close to a lot of the choices of comfort over honesty, because that's really what it boils down to.
That's a great comfort versus and that is gotta be universal, unless you're just a total a total asshole.
Unless you're creating it. That's what we all
unless you're the husband. At some point you chose not to have the hard conversation, not to have the fight, not to, you decided like, I'm just going to go along.
I really wanted to go out to dinner.
But getting out of it is just going to be more work. So
we've had reservations for weeks. I really wanted to go to this restaurant. If I bring it up now, it's not going to be the best night.
It's not going to work. Or the old cliche of like, we'll have the hard relationship conversation after Christmas. That kind of like this kind of, it's these little things that we've all done at one point or another where it's like, that's kind of where you said it perfectly. You pick comfort over authenticity, over truth, over the hard conversation, over whatever.
Fill in the blank. Yeah. Absolutely. Yep. All right. Well, it's almost 11 o'clock, guys. So
it's
I gotta go to bed. This
an hour and 21 minutes.
I could. There's easily another hour and a half of conversation about this, but all good things must come to an end. And
it's been fun. Definitely
it has been fun. Thank you for letting me join in with this.
Not a problem. And and Jason watched another classic.
I did.
That's right.
So I guess my final thought on this would be similar to what you said earlier about Roman Polanski. Okay, number one, like I'm very cozy. Like I'm very sensitive about that kind of stuff. But then, I always try to keep it in the perspective of like all my work I do on an iPhone. Like I'm protesting from an iPhone, which if you continue to tumble down the rabbit hole, you also probably shouldn't have one of these, So I think that it's all like everything is so fucked up. Like everything is done like with a level of consciousness and honesty about your research. And like if it bothers you, this is also a very good like extended version of To Catch a Predator, because it does show like the levels of how somebody's dark mind works. There's things that just happen, like there's a forbidden name that they say could paint really, really well, but I don't want any of his paintings,
Right.
This exists, and like this is part of the legacy that exists behind me that I want to contribute to, in a more positive way. I hope that I'm never in the mirror when I see the devil, so this is a very worthy movie separately.
It absolutely is.
On
most definitely.
level of a movie.
Like I don't want to get into the whole like can you separate art from the artist thing, but I will say, at least for myself, I think I will take wisdom and empathy and sympathy wherever I can get it, and I don't care if the source is questionable. And I feel like this is kind of the weird thing about it, like Roman Polanski, who's done terrible things. This movie, ironically, I think made me a more sensitive man when it comes to thinking about women.
Yes.
I mean, there's the weird irony, you know. So and it's like, and I wouldn't give that up. I wouldn't give it up.
Facts.
Like, so
Facts.
sorry, you know,
And-
like I understand if it's like, well, I don't want to put money in his pocket. Fair.
But I will say
I
this.
would say it's a movie worth seeing some other way. Pirated, whatever.
For
There's
people
ways.
who
Oh, sorry,
for people who don't like watching horror movies because of gore and everything else, that this is one of the greatest horror movies to ever come out. And it didn't have like the gore factor like a lot of movies do now. This movie proved that you can have a good horror story without having to have like the whole hostile and all that garbage going on.
Yes, it's very. I mean, I don't even know what it's rated. I guess there's some nudity, but like it's a very soft R. It's not. It's not an extreme movie.
I feel like you could put this movie on AMC and not edit it
Yeah,
pretty easily. Like for the things that you've seen on Walking Dead or Breaking Bad.
Yes, it's very light. It's pretty tame. I think without the scenes of nudity, I think it would be like a PG. Like I don't think there's. It's all tone and what's happening. The horror is all very
it's
psychological. It's and situational. So
but here in the States we're plowing the road with some really messed up tools, but it doesn't mean we can't keep plowing the road. So
I am DB rated 8 out of 10 and Rotten Tomatoes rated as 96%.
It's I think it's frankly it's one of the perfect movies. It's one of those movies where it's like, I don't know what you change. I don't know. There's nothing to be fixed.
Whatever
it's up there with, like you can rattle them off. Jaws,
Rocky 2,
Rocky, Raiders of the Lost Ark, The Thing. Like, it's just a perfect movie. There's nothing wrong.
Look at what it was up against in the year that it came out. It's stellar movie.
It's held its own. So
All right. Well, this has been great. We definitely have to think about another movie in the future to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you guys come up with that. I feel like The Exorcist is a worthy.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
I bet you when you named that top horror movie of all time list and Rosemary's Baby was number 2, I would not be shocked if Exorcist was number 1. Like, what else would be number 1? Like, what?
Right.
Gotta be. Like, I saw the Exorcist for me was like, yes, this is like, I knew it was a movie that I had to see. I saw it pretty young. I was like 25. But it was like watching a dirty movie. You know what I mean? Like, it was already like, it was Catholic, which was against everything that I was against. And it was like, this was like a visible demon in this house. And so,
it's fun to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
Just have to throw it out there.
With Rosemary's Baby, it was like, hey, we're gonna take you through all that stuff, but like, here's a blanket. Like, here, look at New York City. Like, it comforted
it's
you.
Very only for people who don't want a lot of blood and gore, but for people who don't like a lot of big like scares, like Rosemary's Baby, it's very easy to watch.
It's psychological horror.
It's all dread and tension. It's not. I don't know how else to.
It was Midsummer before Midsummer. I would put as that.
Okay.
But not gory.
Yeah.
Like it's all. Yeah, it's like Midsummer in the sense that it's a lot of dread. And a lot of sense of impending disaster.
Really pretty colors.
Really pretty. Yeah, exactly. But Midsummer will have like some grotesque moments where Rosemary's Baby, it doesn't, it's very, The Exorcist is hard. The Exorcist is hard. It gets hard to watch. Like it gets gross, it gets violent, it gets heavy. Like it gets very extreme by the end. Rosemary's Baby it's not that kind of movie. It's
unsettling, but it's not disturbing. Like The Exorcist is disturbing. So that would definitely be a movie that I'll discuss from memory.
Yes,
I want
Exorcist deserves a parental advisory.
Yeah.
You know, where I don't know, Rosemary's Baby. I think I would show Rosemary's Baby to a 13-year-old.
Yeah,
like I don't
like
it's
movies. You want to see it?
It'll be fine.
See a good scary movie? Yeah, let's check this one out. Yeah.
But yeah, this has been fun. You know, sure, lately we usually always talk about comics, but before horror comics, there were horror movies, and it's just fun to discuss this stuff once in a while because either one way or another, but not just with my horror comic, but certain horror movies made impacts on other people's lives. Either if you're a comic book artist, a movie writer, or a novelist, certain movies like this inspired us to make something great in the future.
Yes.
All right.
It's a nice high bar.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well.
Yep. That's a good way to put it.
Well, thank you everyone joining in the chats. Jim.
Good chatting with you, Gary. Good chatting with you, Ronnie.
For sure. Take it easy, my friends, and I'll see y'all next week.
Sorry you're in Florida, Ronnie.
Yeah. Right.
Our sympathies.
Yeah. All right, y'all be good. Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Night.
See you guys later.